This is my third time attempting to record this video because of various technical difficulties, so if these takes are bad, then this video is just gonna suck. Alert! The Circle Netflix is a reality competition television program wherein the contestants are only able to interact with each other through a proprietary social media network, The Circle. Released during the peak of unprecedented world events, the show examines what does it mean to build connections with people when you can't be in the same physical space as them, and ultimately is a poignant commentary on what it means to build relationships with our fellow human beings. I am, of course, kidding. The show is kind of hot garbage. It's full of over-the-top acting and extremely strong reactions to incredibly mundane situations. But the fact that it's hot garbage has failed to prevent me from getting absolutely hooked on this series and watching all 4 seasons as they release pretty religiously. And because of my obsession with the show, something that I have spent a lot of time contemplating and ideating about is, what would I do if I were a contestant on The Circle? What strategies would I use to both be an entertaining player that home audiences love, as well as potentially make it pretty far into the competition? So, today I am going to be going through 3 different characters that I have come up with in order to be a cool contestant on The Circle. And I do want to say that I mean character when I say character, because something that a lot of people take for granted is that reality TV isn't actually real. Like, they're real people to an extent, but there is a great amount of work that producers can do between working with the people appearing on the show and choosing to include or omit things in the final edit that allows them to craft a particular narrative around the scenarios within the show. But my hope is that with the characters that I'm making, I will be able to transcend producers' ability to weave any particular narrative about me, and I will be able to tell the story that I want to tell through the strategies that I've developed. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the first strategy. Now, insofar as I will be playing a character with all of these roles, the wife guy is definitely the closest to my real personality. I want you to imagine 2018 John Mulaney before his life went completely off the rails, when his brand was very much that he was a married man who loved his wife dearly and centered all of his life decisions around the needs and interests of his wife. And that's exactly the character that I would be trying to portray. I would be a struggling artist who's financially dependent on my wife, who works in a high-powered career, such as real estate or banking, something like that. And I would be absolutely in love with her, always supporting her, and always bringing her up at every opportunity. But here's the twist. I'm not an artist, so whenever there would be an artistic challenge in The Circle, I would immediately be outed as not actually who I say I am, right? Wrong. I would bring my wife with me because she is actually a good artist, and she would be able to make me look good during those challenges. And the real core of the wife guy strategy comes from the fact that a lot of young men who enter as contestants on The Circle say that their game plan is to flirt with all of the women and build alliances and make it so that, everyone is in love with them, and they're going to try to seduce their way to victory, essentially. But the fact of the matter is, as someone who has spoken to women before in his life, women don't like getting randomly hit on by strangers, strange men especially. It's kind of an uncomfy situation for them to be in, and most of them try to avoid it like the plague. So whenever I see these guys say, oh yeah, I'm gonna flirt with all the girls, and that's gonna be my strategy, I'm like, no, you're a buffoon. But the clever part about this strategy is that the ladies will know that I don't have any ulterior motives. I'm not going to be trying to get into their pants because I'm already off the market. I'm obsessed with my wife, she is my light and my soul, and for that reason, they'll know that they can trust me and trust that I'm not going to be creepy with them. And even on the off chance that as my real personality, I could be perceived as potentially creepy or manipulative, I'll have my wife in my corner basically just saying, hey, rethink this phrasing. maybe try to put this kind of information in. As a woman, she can more accurately determine how phrases are going to be received from an average woman's perspective, and using that to my advantage, I will be able to become more trustworthy to all of the women competing in the circle. And on the flip side, men will see me, a married man, and think, that guy figured out dating. That guy got to the end point. I'm going to ask that guy for advice, and I'm going to be able to give it. You know, even at 26 years old, with very limited relationship experience outside of my marriage, I did it. I won dating. So people are going to want to know what I have to offer. And so between the women knowing that they don't have to be afraid or guarded around me, and the men being able to come to me for advice and, see me as sort of like a dad, friend, mentor figure, depending on their age, I'm going to have alliances out the wazoo. It's going to be great. I think as far as a hero character in a reality TV show can go, this is as straightforwardly heroic as you can get, while still being a little bit deceptive and a little bit strategic towards the other players. Realistically, if I ever had to go on the circle, this is probably the strategy that I would do, and the strategy that I think has the highest potential reward with the lowest potential risk, because I'm not going to be setting fires. I'm just going to be friendly, I'm going to be personable, and I'm going to be trustworthy and wise to all of my fellow competitors. So it would just work, But that's not really a fun or interesting character. It's just kind of like I could see that guy going pretty far. So how about we try to do something a little bit more interesting? The Chaos Goblin strategy comes from another kind of point of frustration that I have with contestants in the circle, and that is that they don't really take the opportunity as often as they can to spread misinformation to the other players. See, because there are so many opportunities for you to communicate anonymously with the circle between challenges and different activities that they have the contestants do, and the fact that at the end of the day, you can only trust that the information you're providing is true. Everyone else is a coin toss. So by spreading misinformation, you're effectively saying to everybody else, trust no one, not even yourself. And one particular thing that I would really love to see a contestant do is whenever a contestant gets eliminated, they have the opportunity to go visit another player. And during the circle chat the next day in the game, they, talk about it. And the person who gets visited will either choose to reveal it or conceal that information if they think it might potentially lead to them being defamed or some doubts cast upon their gameplay. But I've never seen a player who wasn't visited claim to be visited. And at the end of the day, it's a 50-50. Who are you going to trust? Anonymous person behind a camera A or anonymous person behind a camera B? And don't get me wrong, by sowing this much chaos all the time at every opportunity, I'm going to make a lot of enemies very fast. In fact, I don't see this strategy making it past the second or third blocking, but I hate it when the players on the show are always hedging their bets and always trying to be, friendly and supportive and make sure that everyone's on the same side in the group chats. No, start fires, go scorched earth. The mantra of the Chaos Goblin is 100% gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. And I'm going to ride that into the sunset, whether that's win or lose for me. There is no slowing down, there is only go for the Chaos Goblin. And like I said, very good chance that this strategy is going to end me up, blocked first or second. They might not even let me get to the first blocking, depending on how much misinformation I spread. So that's just something in general I want to see in the circle, is the players using the fact that everyone has very limited information, and the information that they do have, they basically just have to take on trust. And the Chaos Goblin abuses that fact by always lying at every possible opportunity and making a lot of enemies along the way. I just think it would be a very entertaining character, even if it's not a particularly successful strategy. Now, before jumping into the third and final strategy, I want to take the time to explain the difference between two different kinds of character archetypes within the fighting game community. That is, the clown and the villain. See, the clown and the villain exhibit pretty similar characteristics. They'll talk trash on Twitter and brag about how, they're the best player in their state or in the country, or how their character is obviously so much better than this other character, so all these other character mains can, suck a fat one. But the difference is that a clown will talk all that crap and then get bodied in bracket, whereas a villain will talk all that same crap, but then they'll win. And with that distinction in mind, I want to bring us to my ultimate villain character that I've created for the Circle. The reverse double catfish is my crown jewel of Circle strategies, and frankly, the only reason the other strategies are included is because the rule of three in video making. You can't just have one or two strategies, you gotta have three. It's a law. So what is the reverse double catfish? This draws inspiration from a contestant in season 1 or 2 who was a plus-sized woman catfishing as one of her thinner, more conventionally attractive friends. During the course of the game, she was rated lowly and eventually found herself feeling guilty that she wasn't being 100% genuine with the other players. And in a heartwarming moment of reality television, she chose to reveal her true identity to the other players and had them come and support her and say, we've seen you in this game, we love you for who you really are, and we're glad to see you finally feel comfortable being honest with us. She didn't end up winning that season, but it made me think for a second. What if I did that sort of strategy on purpose, but the revealed identity was also fake? So the reverse double catfish has two real phases to the game plan. First and foremost is catfishing as a conventionally attractive young person. Could be a man or a woman. And I will, be friendly with everyone, try to make some alliances, but ultimately the goal is to sandbag a little bit. I want to stay between the medium, mid-range to the bottom of the ratings through the first two blockings on purpose. I want people to honestly potentially suspect that I'm a catfish and maybe even think that I'm a little bit too friendly, a little bit too good to be true, and have doubts about my character and my honesty towards the game. And then, this is where it gets really, really sneaky. Once I've made it through the first couple rounds of blockings with pretty limited success socially within the Circle, I reveal that I've been lying to the other players. I make a big scene about how I've been feeling guilty that I haven't been 100% honest with everyone, and I reveal my true identity of a middle-aged disabled person. Now, if there's one thing I know about Circle contestants, it's that they love to virtue signal. Whether it's supporting the LGBTQ community or disabled people or plus-sized people, they will take any and every opportunity they get to say, you know what, I love people in this community, I have a nephew or an aunt who's a part of this community, and ultimately, I just think it needs more visibility. I think they need more love and support. And all of those things are true, but I'm going to abuse their desire to be seen as a good ally, because when I reveal through tearful eyes that I've been a disabled middle-aged man the whole time, because coming into the Circle, I didn't think anybody would want to talk to me. Anybody would want to try to get to know the real me unless there was some eye candy for them to look at in the first place. And with that sob story, I will immediately garner so much sympathy and so much support from the other players who are so proud of my bravery and so excited to see that someone in my position finally feels comfortable being their real self around the other players. But the thing that the other players don't know is that I am, in fact, a rat bastard. See, this reveal works on two levels. First of all, I get the automatic sympathy points from faking a disability, and secondarily, Nobody would reveal themselves as a catfish only to continue catfishing. That's kind of sociopathic behavior. And no reasonable person, after seeing the reveal that a catfish is wanting to be honest, is going to think, you know what, I still don't trust them. I still think they've got another secret up their sleeve. No reasonable person would think that, and that is another thing I would be using to my advantage. Now, once I've gotten all this sympathy, I'm going to have private chats with everyone talking about my experiences as a disabled person, talking about, how hard it's been for me to, fit in with society, and how excited I've been to be able to start building relationships on the circle. I will be able to strengthen my existing alliances by my newfound honesty, and hopefully anybody who was doubting me or feeling uncomfortable or not wanting to build an alliance with me will suddenly feel the need to reach out and say, hey, you're so brave, I'm so proud of you, I have your back for the rest of the game. My hope is that between the combination of the sympathy and the virtue signaling, as well as the cognitive bias to think that someone wouldn't lie to you after revealing that they lied to you, I'm hoping that I can ride that to the finale, and possibly even to the win. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that this is very morally dubious strategy, but at the end of the day, a game is a game, and with 100,000 buckaroos on the line, you gotta play a little bit dirty. You gotta be a little bit catty, a little bit underhanded, and I think, frankly, the big thing that The Circle's been missing during the run of its 4 seasons on Netflix is a really, really good villain character. Someone who lies and spreads misinformation and intentionally deceives the other characters and are rewarded handsomely for it. And I get it because, again, season 1 was released during the height of unprecedented world events, and they were probably just trying to have a cozy show that people could watch, be entertained by the loud people yelling at every single alert in the game, and, have a good time, a rip-roaring, fun experience with these people interacting through the fake social media platform. But it's time to rip off that Band-Aid. It's time to have some conniving, villainous people enter the circle and try to win at all costs. No guilt, no shame, just eyes on the prize from day 1 to day 5 or 6. It's recorded over a pretty short period of time. So those are the 3 strategies that I would potentially try to use if I ever had the opportunity to be on The Circle. And if any producers from The Circle Netflix are watching, you can consider this my unofficial audition tape. I mean, it's not a big deal. You can comment or shoot me an email. We can get in touch. Come on, let's make this happen. It's going to be great. I'm going to be amazing on the show. You're going to love me. Audiences are going to love me. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fast. It's going to be... It's just let me on the show, please. If you have watched The Circle, let me know if you think these strategies have any merit to them, because I've never discussed this with anyone. Maybe I'm full of myself. Maybe I'm completely overestimating my strategic prowess, and you have some better strategies that you might be able to share. And if you've never watched The Circle before, maybe give it a watch. If you go into it with an open mind and limited expectations, you might be able to find that it's a pretty entertaining and interesting concept, and the strength of that concept is enough to carry you through a lot of the kind of mundane, fluffy filler that exists during most of the episodes. But with all that in mind, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of my strategies, and I hope you have a wonderful day.